Hello, welcome to the Fit and Free Show. I'm ZGALA, the Art Angel. You can call me Auntie Angel if you like. And this is the Head Hutt, a Mega-Sculpture, which I built with these two hands and then wrote a book about. Put that book on Amazon. Put a link to that book down below. So check it out if you're interested in learning more. I'm here as usual to do a little exhaling, a little checking in with my own body, and I invite you to join me to whatever degree feels good in your body. I like to always remind you and me and everyone, there's not one way, there's not one right way or one wrong way. There are many right ways and many wrong ways, but only you can determine what is the right way for you today, and that's bound to vary. So I encourage you to just take a moment to bring your awareness into your own body and maybe just listen or tell yourself that you're listening. See what you hear, what you feel, what you come to. That's really what I'm going to do, and I'm also going to do a floor session. You might be able to tell because I got my camera pointed at the floor, and I got a new cool camera holder that my friend Autumn sent me. Thank you, Autumn. And so I think that's given me a better view of my back wall and my yoga carpet here, which really needs a vacuuming, but we're gonna ignore that for now because I've been ignoring it long enough. And get to some breathing and some stretching, maybe even some strengthening. I didn't really make a plan because that's how I roll. So my plan is just to follow my own lead and encourage you to follow your own lead. But of course, you can take some inspiration from me if nothing better comes to you. So I'm going to start by rooting myself into the center of the earth, checking in with my sits bones, where I'm making contact with the earth, straightening the spine a little bit. And I like to imagine I'm being held in gentle traction between the center of the universe somewhere and the center of the earth somewhere. Just really a way of bringing my awareness into my own spine and trying to create that sensation of lengthening the spine. It's a good start to any kind of movement. Another good start is just to wiggle around a little bit. Shake off some tension. Maybe throw it off to the side or set it down gently. Any of those are perfect. I'm going to start off with a few shoulder shrugs, and then I think I'm going to do some leg stretches on the floor today, but I'm not really sure. We'll see what happens when I get there. Let's start off with some shoulder shrugs and breathing in, noticing all those ka-chunks, and then just letting it go, shaking it off a little bit. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Breathing in, tensing up. I like to get my fingers and my toes, sometimes my face and my pelvic floor involved. Maybe holding and breathing a little more, and then exploring a little bit of a heavy sigh and some free arm swingings. I like to alternate left elbow over right, right elbow over left. It's a great way to both kind of stretch the body real quick, let go of some tension, and also give the mind just a little something to do. Bringing it all in together. Let's do one more breath in. Tensing up the shoulders, putting them in the ears, tensing up the hands and the toes and the pelvic floor, maybe the face, and then just letting it go, swinging the arms, just loosening things up here. You might have already realized I tend to be silly. You probably haven't realized yet unless you've watched me before. I also like to sing my life a little bit, both because it's silly and also because I like singing. So don't say I didn't warn you. Let's get on with it then. I'm going to come back and do an arm stretch later, but for right now, since I got this camera set up so perfectly for some leg stretches, I'm going to do some of those for a change because I haven't done them this week. So coming back onto those sits bones and extending the feet out in front of me just in a straight line. I'm going to bounce those knees around, and again bringing my awareness into the spine, nice and long. And I'm just going to start with a very gentle forward fold, aiming my chin for my toes, so trying to keep that spine nice and long, and can bring the hands down to the knees or down to the shins or wherever is comfortable, and just sort of pull with those hands. But here's a little tip, a little trick is I'm not pulling to round the chest down toward the legs, which is a great stretch in and of itself, but I'm trying to start off with this flat back and this fold from the hips. So I'm using my arms in this case to pull my chin toward my toes. It's a subtle but distinct difference in the kind of stretch that you get. So it helps to breathe anytime you're stretching or doing much else. So I'm gonna just enjoy a breath or two in that stretched position. Taking another deep breath and maybe increasing that a little bit. Again, still with that flat back, folding from the hips. For contrast, I'm going to let go of that gentle traction that I have and round the forehead toward the knees. Just letting go of that, not pulling anymore, just sort of collapsing into that stretch. For me, that brings a stretch down to a different part of my legs. Just changes it all up. There's not, again, one right way or one wrong way. And on the inhale, I'm going to come back up to that straight back position, still in this forward fold, and pull my chin again toward those toes. If you were super flexible and that was not feeling challenging enough, you could pull the toes back toward the chin. That'll really increase that stretch there. And if all of that is too much, you could do just a much more gentle thing from, like, maybe you could get your hands on your knees and just pulling the chest and the chin forward toward the toes. It's a great stretch there. And then let's round the spine again, aiming for the knees now with the forehead. And just trying to relax into that a little bit. And then on a deep inhale, coming back into that forward fold, maybe a little bit further this time, and again pulling with a little bit of gentle traction toward the toes with the chin and the chest and that flat back. Aiming for the toes. I like to kind of use my arms to flex the back a little bit just because that feels good in there. Give it a little extra stretch back there. And then let's come all the way back to sitting upright. I'm going to add a gentle twist, I think, here. So I'm going to bring the right hand to the outside of the left knee and the left hand back toward the gluteal crevasse. That's your butt crack for this. For those of you still on the street. And then twisting from the bottom through the torso and with the neck and eyes behind the body, just giving everybody a nice wringing out, a little internal hug. Maybe using those hands for an additional torque. And then I'm going to unwind from the top to the bottom, starting with the eyes, coming through the torso, back to forward. Let's bounce those knees out a little and do the other side. Bringing the left hand to the outside of the right leg, bringing the right hand back in close to the body and twisting through the pelvis, through the chest, with the neck and eyes behind the body, giving it all those internal organs a nice internal hug. I like to think of it as a little wringing out, a little checking in with, a little listening to, increasing that torque a little bit, pushing with the hands And then I'm going to unwind that from the top to the bottom again. Coming back to center. Shake out the knees, shake out the shoulders. And let's bring the left foot up in close to the groin if possible, or if that's uncomfortable, you could bring it up to the knee. Make sure you do listen to that knee of yours. And in this position, I might kill a mosquito, I'm going to be facing forward still. So there's a temptation to turn toward this open space, and that's okay. But what I'm going to be working on doing is pulling my body back onto this perpendicular line with that outstretched foot and pushing this knee toward the floor. So that just changes up the stretch again. And now I'm going to again aim my chin for those toes, stretching, and there's a temptation to really, I say temptation, that might not be the right word. This hip of this leg might want to slide back, and that's okay. Just notice what it does. I'm not gonna say there's any right way to do that, because there isn't really. Do listen to your own body, and don't push into anything that's painful. Just look for that side of the stretch that feels good. For me, I have a little tension in this knee, so I have to be mindful of that, but it feels okay for me to be pushing that knee toward the floor. Whoa, my camera decided to take a little stretch forward as well. That was fun. Let's see if we can get it to go back where it was behaving so well before. It's just decided, nope, maybe it got droopy because of the heat in here. That was entertaining. All right, so stretching forward over that front leg with the other one bent. Again, you can alternate chin to toes or forehead to knee, and just noticing how that changes up the stretch. I can get the breath involved. It's always a good idea. I like to do things 3 to 5 times if possible. It's not always possible though, or practical, and that's okay too. Let's bring both legs in front again and bounce them out, and then leaving that other leg facing forward, bringing this, now my right knee up into a bend, bringing that right foot up near the groin, or if you put that near the knee, it's actually going to change the stretch considerably. And again, it's not right or wrong, it's just a different stretch. So I encourage you to play with what feels good in your body today. I'm going to bring that up close, and again, aiming my chin for my knee, or I mean my forehead, my chin for my toes first, and then my forehead for my knee. And I can tell already I feel a little bit more flexible on this side. There's not a right or wrong to it. I'm just noticing, just listening to the body. And I always find it interesting how the two sides of my body are a little bit different, a little bit the same, even as I try to do the same things on both sides. And that's pretty normal, pretty natural. You might find the same is true for you. Aiming chin for toes, and then aiming forehead for knee. And I'm definitely feeling a little more flexible on this side. It's interesting. I'm going to bring this foot back out in front and bounce these around. Got these new culottes today, or that's not what they're called anymore, is it? Oh, whatever they're called. Capris. I think that's what the kids are calling them. Anyway, I like them, but they're a little tight. It's a good time to remind you, you don't need any special outfit or any special hand-built dome in order to do some stretches and check in with yourself. I'm going to bring both feet together now in this, it's commonly called the butterfly pose, and just push both knees toward the floor, getting a nice stretch through the thighs there. And I'm using my hands on my feet to pull the upper body forward and kind of place a stability to push those knees down. And You could vary one side or the other. Some people like to flap those butterfly wings. Other people say that's not good for your muscles or your joints. I encourage you to listen to your own body. We're all of us are similar in ways and different in ways. So I think it's important to listen to your own body, get to know yourself, get to know what feels right for you. I am a little off center to the camera, so I'm going to try to fix that a little bit. And just again, pulling the body forward. You can do the same kind of thing where you're rounding the spine and straightening the spine and just seeing how those two things feel different and the same. And you can also play with bringing those feet out further from the groin and trying that again, pulling the body forward, rounding the spine. These are all sometimes subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways of changing up this stretch a little bit. And I like to play with that whole range there. Just alternating still straight spine and curved spine. Let's bring those feet out forward and bounce those knees around. I'm going to come back this way and see if I can get back in frame to do some, I'm going to start with a little bit of rolling on the spine because that's what my body feels like it wants. And it's fun to do and also real good way to just wake up the spine, kind of check in with the whole body. You can keep the knees bent and hang on to them, or you could put your hands down and bring the whole leg ensemble, the whole lower body up is to various degrees. If you wanted to get real fancy, you could bring that into a shoulder stand. This is a pretty poor rendition of one of those. Haven't been doing those, but the point being, do what feels right for you right now. I do encourage you to roll around on the floor, wiggle around on the floor, kind of like to give my low back a little massage by rolling back and forth there, and my upper back kind of a massage by rolling around like I just did. And then I'm going to bring my hands under my sacrum just a little bit to kind of help tilt that low back. And I'm going to do what I call flutter kicks, and you can't see my whole leg there, but and these are again pretty rough and not perfect form, but I'm going to do a few of these because snowboarding season's around the corner and it's time I started doing my core exercises. So you can do these with, I'm going to try to get my foot where you can see, so you could point your toe as you're bringing your straight leg down, or you could point your heel, pointing your toe up. And I like to alternate. You can't see my feet here, but I like to go, so right now I'm pointing toe down like that on the bottom, and you can keep them both the same way and just do them, or you could get fancy and involve the brain and alternate. So it's kind of like pedaling a bike where I'm bringing the foot up with the toe up and down with when I'm kicking down. I don't know if that makes sense, and I will work on this camera positioning, but for right now I'm just going to do a few of those. Those are great for strengthening the core, strengthening the abdominal muscles, and also the iliopsoas, one of my favorite ensembles of muscle. The iliop is the part that attaches the back of your spine to your your leg, inside your hips there, that help pull the leg up, and the psoas is a big, like as thick as your forearm in many cases, muscle that attaches to the inside of the spine, and then again down to this leg bone on the inside of the hip. So it's part of what brings that leg up like that, and a strong psoas is a great fix for a weak low back. So if you're having low back pain it might seem counterintuitive, but this kind of exercise can be great to strengthen the front of the body and help relieve tension in the back of the body. Just a little cue for you. And you might notice I brought my hands out, and I sometimes do that, but if you wanted to pay more attention to form and or you wanted to protect your low back a little bit more, then you would bring your hands under like this, and that helps just stabilize that whole area so that it's not prone to moving around, and also helps kind of press that low back down into the ground by lifting the tailbone just a little bit. So all those are great to do while you do some flutter kicks. That was a pretty relaxed and casual session of flutter kicks, but I'm gonna leave that right there. Let's do just a little more stretching of the legs while we're down here. Extending one leg and bringing this left knee up toward the chest. I sometimes do this standing for balance, but since I'm laying on the floor, I'm gonna do it here. And from here, you can bring this knee out to the side, stretching the inside of the thigh, stretching the hip. Try not to let this other side lift off the ground. You can bring it across the body this way, all the way over for a nice twist in the spine, and looking back at that other arm. Notice I moved it, trying to make a more symmetrical shape with my body. That's the word I was looking for. A little more in alignment instead of so sloppy. Anyway, all those are good to do when you're stretching. That one feels pretty intense to me today. I haven't been doing it. So I'm just going to stay there another breath or so. Let that relax, letting the shoulder relax toward the floor, and trying to press that opposite knee toward the floor. And still breathe. And then coming back to the front, I'm going to bring both knees up toward the chest. Maybe do a little circling. Again, that's like a really nice massage on the low back. Go one way, and then the other way. And I'm going to do the other side by extending that left leg down flat, bringing this right knee up toward the chest. Trying to relax the shoulders back down toward the floor. I forgot to rotate the ankles, but that ankle's talking to me, so I'm going to do a little of that. And then bringing this knee out to the side, trying not to lift up on this opposite side. Just leaving that down and stretching the inside mostly of that other leg and the hip there. And then I'm going to bring it back across the body this way for that twist on the other side. Looking out at my other hand, trying to bring that arm into alignment, keeping that shoulder pressed down, trying to press this knee toward the floor. And again, noticing how the two sides are different, how they're the same. This side is definitely a little less flexible on me than the other side. Maybe there's just more tension. And one of the good things about noticing these differences is sometimes it's very common to have like one leg longer than the other, or one side stronger than the other. But there's also things like, in my case, what's coming to mind right now is that I sit at my desk in a certain way, and I'm probably slouching over. And sometimes we slouch in a certain way because of something else going on in the body. And sometimes, I mean, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, right? It's hard to say what comes first, but it's good to bring attention to things that are uneven in the body, because maybe there's something I can do with my sitting position at the desk. Maybe there's something I can do with my exercises to strengthen an imbalance. All of those are just good things to think about. I'm getting sweat in my eyes now, so I'm going to try to fix this camera and come back up here. Let's see if we can just talk for a second here without losing each other. It is getting hot here in the Head Hutt. Thank you for being you and letting me be me. I thank you for stopping by. I thank you if you like and subscribe. It does help me out a lot. And I will remind you that you're worthy of your own unconditional love. So I hope you're giving yourself plenty of that. I hope you will stay curious and courageous and get more fit so you can be more free. And until next time, I'll be seeing you. Peace.